time. This is As Goes Wisconsin with Kristen Bry.
So it goes. Oh, it's going, no one knows. Hello, Wisconsin!
Now, filling in for the new mom, here's Jane Matinaire.
Good morning and welcome to As Goes Wisconsin, Friday, October 20th, with Greg Bach on the board and my good friend and colleague, Carol Kane, live in the studio with me. Coming up next hour at 11:06, Dr. Michael McCutcheon will be here to fix your life. If you have any questions about relationships, your career, your life choices,
Pretty much everything.
You can text in at 844-967-2789 or shoot us an email at asgoeswisconsin@civicmedia.us. And think a little bit ahead, too. At 11:30, Carol's going to share a story regarding one of your dogs. And the things we do for our pets.
I think it's fascinating what I was talking to somebody just yesterday about this situation. And he said, oh, my wife would do that. He said, I laid next to, he said, when Rosie, his one dog, Rosie, he said, I laid on the floor with her. And I'm like, oh my God, we're nuts. We are nuts about our pets.
Yes, we are nuts about our pets. So we're going to take your stories too about the lengths you have gone to for your beloved four-legged creature. That will be coming up at 11:33. Right now, though, we're going to start off with this. As of today, students at Menomonee Falls High School will no longer have access to 33 different books.
I don't understand that. Well, give me some of the books. What are some, do you have titles?
We do have some titles. So The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, 19 Minutes by Jodi Picoult, The Perks of Being a Wallflower.
What's wrong with that?
Jesus Land, a Memoir by Julia Shears. I have read that one.
What's so offensive about that?
It's sex.
Oh.
Well, that one also deals with race relations and religion. So.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yes, the policies and guidelines are based on age and grade appropriateness, specifically focusing on limiting or excluding materials with sexual content and profanity. Now, from what I understand, and we're going to be learning more about this coming up at 10:30, because Andy Gus is with the group called Grassroots of Menomonee Falls area, and they take the tack that the correct procedures were not followed. From what I understand, no one knows who complained about these books, who made the initial complaint.
Okay.
It's also not clear what process they went through. Who made the decision to get rid of these books?
Well, I don't know. I can't wait to talk to this guy and kind of figure some of this stuff out, but I don't know how. I'm not advocating by any stretch of the imagination pulling books, but I do agree with the age appropriate. You know, we have to kind of take a look at some of these books and find out what is age appropriate. Once you get into high school, though,
come on,
that's.
I mean.
Half of them are having sex, so
thank you. Thank you. Because, yes, I think you're absolutely right. And Kristen has said this before, too. If you want to make something really, really attractive to your teenager, tell them they can't have it.
Oh, well, sure, of
course. You think these kids aren't going to go find, especially, well, give me the list. I'm going to go download them. Give me the list. I'm going to go, I'll go to a used bookstore and get them.
Well, half of them, truly half of them have Kindles and they can do it, so they'll find it no matter what. It doesn't make any sense to me that you want to do something like that. I mean, you as a parent, if your kid brings one of these books home and you don't agree with it, it's a very simple solution. You take it away from them and you say, I don't want you reading this.
But do you ban it from every other student?
No, I don't think so. I don't agree with that. No, not at all.
And when I look at some of these other titles,
but you have to understand, like Catcher in the Rye and all that kind of stuff, hugely controversial when it came out.
But I read that in high school.
Oh, sure.
Catcher in the Rye. Slaughterhouse-Five is on here by Kurt Vonnegut, Greg. I have not read Slaughterhouse-Five, but I know you have.
That deals with a lot. It's an anti-war book. It deals with communism, religion, all the things that threaten people who feel threatened by books.
Also banned The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. I've read that. It's a wonderful book. It's a wonderful,
I saw the movie and I thought it was really important, actually.
Also, Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West.
They're probably
Is there a lot of sex in that book?
I bet you it's more about religion, witchcraft.
Okay. And You, a Novel. Again, these are among some of the 33 books that have now been banned at Menomonee Falls High School.
Okay, it's very funny to me because I read this article. It was a fascinating article. Now it's college, so it's a whole different, bag of worms. But there, according to The Guardian, there's a British university that is offering a master's degree in the occult and witchcraft.
Okay.
Which is, okay, this is where we are
Right.
at this particular junction. And I'm a huge advocate of talking to your kids. I think that, and I'm not, trust me, I have not been the greatest mom in the world. I could tell you stories I left my daughter at a gas station.
Well, that was not intentional.
No, it wasn't intentional, but so I know that I'm not the greatest mom in the world, but I always was an advocate of when they were doing their schoolwork or something like that, finding out what they were doing and talking to them about it. And
Gee, what a shocking idea, Carol.
and if they were reading something and I was maybe, well, what do you find attractive about this book? What does this book mean to you?
Right. What are you getting from this book?
Right. I'm still The Handmaid's Tale. Are you kidding? You can watch it on TV.
Yeah. But don't read it.
I understand what it's about. And The Kite Runner,
it's a wonderful book.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a wonderful book.
What else? Give me some more titles.
All right, let's see. Again, there's 33. There's quite a few.
Yeah, I'm not going to have you go through the whole
Court
list.
of Frost and Starlight. These are all from the same author. A Court of Frost and Starlight. This is a series. A Court of Mist and Fury. A Court of Thorns and Roses. A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas.
Okay.
Breathless by Jennifer Niven. Damsel by Ilana Arnold. Homegoing by Yai Gasai. Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. They don't like her.
Okay, apparently
now
not.
I'm gonna have to download one of those because I'm curious. But this also got me thinking about the first book that I read because I was a big reader as a kid.
I'm an English literature major.
Right. And I am fairly certain that the first book that really made a big impression on me was Carrie by Stephen King.
Oh, sure.
Which I read when I was in 8th grade.
Okay.
And then I read Helter Skelter.
Oh, I've read that too.
In 8th grade.
I probably was right around that. And I will be perfectly honest to tell you that when I was reading The Exorcist, because it freaked my mom out so much, I hid my book between my mattress and my box spring. And I would read it at night when she was still downstairs. But if you really want to take a look at some of the stuff, then some of Shakespeare's stuff's pretty salty. So, and I read Shakespeare very, very early on in 9th grade.
You know what book is also pretty risque? The Bible.
Yes, it is.
Oh, without a doubt. But they're not going to be reading the Bible in public schools by any stretch of the imagination.
But shouldn't that book be subject to these same kinds of rules?
Well, I seriously doubt. I don't know if you will find the Bible in a public school library.
I don't know. I mean, even still, but shouldn't we take it out of the library in general?
Protect the children?
That's what they're doing in libraries, not just high school libraries, but public libraries. Take that Bible out. That is some.
If you're going to institute these kinds of rules, they should all be applied equally, I would think.
Well, I think we're talking apples and oranges when you're talking libraries. You're talking kids and you're talking, public libraries. I don't know. I don't advocate taking books out, period. I really don't. But I do think that it's okay to check for, I go back to the age appropriate. I do.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. But again, there needs to be transparency involved into who is making this complaint and what is the process what is the oversight process that's involved in coming to the determination that these 33 books have to go. 844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY if you want to check in. Andrew from Verona on the text line. It's so stupid. These kids can go to Google Pornhub faster than getting their hands on any of these books.
Fair.
That's a very fair thing.
Fair point, Andrew. Fair point, Andrew.
And he also says, I'd just be happy that my kids are reading. They have heard and seen worse on TV, movies, and the internet.
The question I have, and I would like to ask Andy this, is, these books ended up in the library to begin with. My guess is that they were curated by the library staff, and no one had a problem when they were brought in the first place.
Right.
So why all of a sudden now do people have a problem with it? And my guess it's probably not the staff who has a problem with it.
I have a feeling it's Moms for Liberty.
Those fighters for freedom?
Yeah. The fighters for freedom, Moms for Liberty, are the ones who are bringing forward these proposals or these demands to remove these books. And in many instances, those people don't even live in the school district.
Well, yeah, that's possible. I mean, that's possible. But I think that I'm with the texter. I was just happy that my kids were reading.
Absolutely.
And once again, if you have issues with what's sexually explicit, basically is what the big problem is. And if you have problems with that, I mean, I did the sex talk with my kids. They need to know about this stuff. Otherwise, they're going to go and do maybe some very difficult and bad behavior.
We're going to continue this conversation. We have some more text to share on the other side of the break. You can always check in to 844-967-2789. This is As Goes Wisconsin. Stay with us on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Have you noticed bad behavior has become normalized at interscholastic athletic events? Some fans seem angry. They lack civility toward one another. Some even get aggressive and unruly. Time out! What is going on? This has to stop. Let's not forget, school sports aren't just about winning. And they're definitely not an excuse to take your frustrations out on the official or the opponent. They're about teaching lessons like perseverance, respect, and empathy, so students can learn and grow as people, not just as players. We all have a role to play in setting a good example for our students and teaching them these important values. So fans, it's time to step up your game and behave positively at interscholastic athletic events in Wisconsin.
This message presented by the WIAA and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
People won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Here's your updated forecast on the Shaw. Mainly clear skies this afternoon with highs around 57. Northwesterly winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Overcast tonight. Chance for scattered showers. Lows dip down to about 41. Chance for scattered showers tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 56. Low 50s Sunday. Warmer Monday with highs in the mid 50s and showers. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 48 degrees.
Waukesha, home of Les Paul, our awesome farmers market, and The Shaw, 540 AM and 101.1 FM. WA.
I'm on my way, I'm making it. I've got to make it show, yeah. So much larger than life.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. Jane Matnair in for Kristen Bride. Greg Bach is on the board. Carol Kane Carol Kane live with me in the studio.
I'm here
in downtown Waukesha.
Carol's in all of us. She's in our soul and our heart.
And we love to hear from you as well at 844-967-2789. That's 844-96-PARTY. Starting things off today, talking about the 33 books that will no longer be allowed at the Menomonee Falls High School, grassroots Menomonee Falls area. And we're going to be talking to one of the people aligned with that group. Andy Gus is going to be joining us at 10:33. Right. They are calling for transparency from the school district and open dialogue with all stakeholders, including teachers, librarians, and the wider community.
I do totally agree with that. If we've got people that are causing an issue and have a problem with these books, step forward.
Yeah.
I want you to step forward and tell me why.
Right.
Tell me what the problem is. And the fact that you're not doing that indicates to me, there's a cowardness involved with that. I just think that if you have a problem with the book, like if I had a problem with, like, let's just say, for example, either Elizabeth or Alex, and they're reading a book. If I had a problem with the book, I would go to the principal myself and just say, hey, I have a problem with this book. Did I ever do it? No, probably because I'm a terrible mother. But I just think that you have to step forward. Standing, hiding in the shadows, to me, why would I listen to you?
I think you make a very good point, but I think we live in a society now where keyboard warriors, we're all real brave when we're anonymous. It takes some intestinal fortitude to admit who you are and take ownership of it.
Right. Well,
and then have to validate your argument.
Well, and this is the world. Honestly, this is the world we live in. Look at the trolls that we have to deal with social media and things like that. And I mean, I got something the other day through an instant message on my Facebook page, and I was like, what? Who is this? I don't know. It was just, and it was a weird instant message. And I was just like, why would you write that to somebody? I don't even know who you are.
That's bizarre.
And so anyhow, unless he thought that, because my married name is Lewandowski, unless he thought that was another Carol Lewandowski he was writing to, but I don't think there's too many of us out there. But yes, I don't put any credence in anybody who won't step forward and show your face. Period.
Well, two things and I get the idea that if you had a problem with the book and you walked into the school and said to the principal, this is my problem. If I was the principal, I'd be like, all right, well, then you need to talk to your child about that book. I'm not going to get rid of your books on behalf of you. That's not my problem. You are to speak to your child and take care of that. That's not my business. I'm not here to curate books to help your family. And the other thing too, a point I wanted to bring up was the fact that it's not just books that deal with explicit sexual nature. It's also books that deal heavily in LGBTQI.
Absolutely.
There are books that are being banned because they threaten the whitewashed history of this country. So there's a lot of, and these moms for liberty are threatened by anything that isn't exactly what they know and love and have been taught.
And their version of history.
Exactly.
We have David from Marinette on the phone. Good morning, David. Thank you for joining us. What do you think?
How graphic are them books that you guys are speaking?
Well, Greg has read Fahrenheit 451.
Well, Fahrenheit 451 is about banning books. So
okay, I'm just curious on how graphic material actually is. I mean, obviously you can't explain it here, but I'm just curious. I guess I'll have to research it myself. Yeah, there should be a limit, I would think, at some point, but then again, to what point? I guess that's.
Well, it's kind of like, David, it's kind of like Carol said, age appropriateness is one thing, but completely removing the book from
Right.
the library is another thing. So, and we'll be
Yeah.
posting the
I'll
list of 33 books in the show notes after the
Yeah.
show is over, so you can go take some of them out of your library and read
Yeah.
them. Thank you so much for calling.
Yeah.
844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY from the 312. If they're going to ban a book, the person submitting the request needs to do a minimum 8-page book report to submit for review by an independent library board comprised of teachers and librarians. I don't hate that.
I don't hate that either.
If you are so dead set against this one book, then I want, first of all, proof that you read it,
Right.
that you actually know what's in it. And okay, maybe not an 8-page report. I'd be happy with 3.
Well, and you know, what's stopping you, mom, dad, mom, I don't know, whatever. What's stopping you from reading the book with your child?
There's an idea.
You know, where you sit down and we're going to read 2 chapters. It's like your own personal book club. We're going to read 2 chapters and we're going to sit down
and
we're going to discuss this. Once again, this is a high school, and some of these kids have been sexually active since they were in middle school. They know this stuff. And I'm also in agreement with the fact of they can get this anywhere. This is the world we live in, for Pete's sakes.
Mhm.
Talk to your children. I don't understand why it's so difficult to talk to your children about sex.
Of all things.
It's
Also
the most,
coming in and saying, like, you know what's best for my kid? It's coming back to that whole thing, too. You don't tell me what my kid can and can't read. I'll tell you.
My decision. I'm the parent.
Yeah.
844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. We have the bottom of the hour news coming up. When we come back, Andrew Gus is going to be joining us. He is with the group Grassroots of Menominee Falls area, talking about the 33 books that have just been banned as of today from the Menominee Falls High School. I hope you will stay with us. This is As Goes Wisconsin. You're listening on the Civic Media Radio Network.
My car is getting bigger. Big time. My house getting bigger. Big time. My eyes getting bigger. Big time. My mouth. Big time. My belly's getting bigger. Big time. My bank account. Big time. Look at my circumstance. Big time.
Heading down Les Paul Parkway or fighting traffic on the interstates. This is The Shaw, 540 AM and 101.1 FM, WAUK.
CBS News Brief. 200 trucks loaded with food, water, and fuel could finally begin entering Gaza from Egypt today. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres was at the border.
These trucks are not just trucks. They are a lifeline. They are the difference between life and death for so many people in Gaza.
Israeli airstrikes continue there. Lawmakers in the U.S. House of Representatives will vote again today on a new leader. Despite dwindling support, the GOP's Jim Jordan isn't giving up.
There's been multiple rounds of votes for speaker before. I just know that we need to get a speaker as soon as possible so we can get to work for the American people.
Court records show a Maryland judge shot outside his home last night had presided over the divorce case of a possible suspect. WUSA's Casey Nolan says Circuit Court Judge Andrew Wilkinson later died.
They say they got that man to the hospital, but he could not be saved. He died at the hospital.
CBS News Brief. I'm Deborah Rodriguez.
With news on WAUK The Shaw, I'm Stuart J. Waddles. Menominee Falls High School has removed more than 30 books from its shelves due to their explicit content. The school implemented a new policy for its libraries this year, which prohibits books containing graphic depictions of sex. Among the books affected by the policy are both contemporary fantasy novels and classics like Slaughterhouse-Five and The Handmaid's Tale. A compost project is launching in the city of Waukesha. The plan is to reduce food waste by establishing a compost drop-off site, allowing people to dispose of food scraps alongside yard waste. Partnering with an organization called Compost Crusader, the program will accept various food waste items and provides a solution for apartment or condo dwellers without backyard composting options. With news on WAUK The Shaw, I'm Stuart J. Waddles.
Have you noticed bad behavior has become normalized at interscholastic athletic events? Some fans seem angry. They lack civility toward one another. Some even get aggressive and unruly. Time out! What is going on? This has to stop. Let's not forget, school sports aren't just about winning. And they're definitely not an excuse to take your frustrations out on the official or the opponent. They're about teaching lessons like perseverance, respect, and empathy, so students can learn and grow as people, not just as players. We all have a role to play in setting a good example for our students and teaching them these important values. So fans, it's time to step up your game and behave positively at interscholastic athletic events in Wisconsin.
This message presented by the WIAA and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
Attention high school sports fans, are you an armchair official? You know, the parent or fan who constantly yells at the referees and loves to let everyone know just how bad you think they are. Well, if you think you could do better, then get in the game and prove it. It's time for you to suit up and make the calls where they actually count. Every sport in Wisconsin needs more officials. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Did you know your favorite shows and hosts are active on social media too? Find Civic Media on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook and be part of the conversation happening there. And go to our website, civicmedia.us, to learn more about the Civic Media Network.
When I was a boy, in the days of the train, I'd sit by the tracks on a long summer day, and I'd wave to the brakeman, and he'd wave back at me while the thunderclouds roll.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. Jane Metnair in for Kristen Bry. Greg Bach is on the board. Carol Kane in studio with me in downtown Waukesha. We are talking this hour about the 33 books that have now been banned from the Menomonee Falls High School. And joining us at the very last minute, I emailed him in a hurry this morning, and I'm so glad we were able to make this work. Andrew Guss is with the group called Grassroots of Menomonee Falls area, and he joins us now. Good morning, Andrew. Hi.
Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Thank you so much for having me on this short notice. I do appreciate the time.
Absolutely. I was delighted you were able to carve out some time for us, Andrew. So Tell us about the group, first of all, Grassroots of Menomonee Falls area. What is your purpose?
Absolutely. So Grassroots of Menomonee Falls area, we're a nonprofit organization really dedicated to community empowerment, advocating for important causes, and also fostering positive change in Menomonee Falls. We have a really passionate and engaged membership base. We really strive to create a strong, more vibrant community for all residents in Menomonee Falls.
Okay. I'm sorry,
Go
Jade. So tell me why this is an important issue. I know it may seem like a silly question for you, but I want to hear it coming out of your mouth.
Not a problem. So with the recent statement with the school district and pulling the 33 books, we understand that they've got procedures in place that govern different library materials, and we understand this, but at this point, they're taking books away and they're taking resources away from students. Two of the books are actually in part of the AP courses with Slaughterhouse 5, and then one more title as well.
Well, it's Kurt Vonnegut, for Pete's sake.
I mean, these are classics.
Yeah.
These are classics.
Absolutely. And, there's 33 of them that were due back by today.
So kids who had taken them out were told them get those books back in today because we're taking them off the shelves.
Correct.
Can you think of anything more enticing, Andrew? If I was a teenager, and I remember being a teenager, if my mother had came to me with a list of 33 books and said, I don't want you to read any of these, the first thing I would do is look for those 33 books so I could read them.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with that statement. If my mom, who's watching my kids today, was here, she would give me these books, and I think I would immediately, try to read these. It was, when I was growing up, I remember I made my mom buy me the Tupac CD, which was probably not the best, right, at the time when I was 14.
Well, and you know what? When I was in high school, I took a medieval literature course, and we read the Canterbury Tales. Holy moly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you want sex. There's sex in there. So Andrew, do we have any idea how this all came about?
So there was an original, absolutely. There was an original, back in March of this past year, there was some development with the policies regarding library material. And at that time, they had already received a listing of over 100 books for review. Out of those 100 books, not sure how they were dwindled down to, they were dwindled down to these 33 books. But at the time, this list that was submitted, list that was over 129 titles, was submitted by a community member who doesn't have kids in the district. And they weren't really instructed. Nothing moved because they wanted to review the titles under the new policy that was written in this past spring. And when really the new policy was approved, everybody waited to see what would happen for these books. Well, surprise, Tuesday, communication went out that these books were going to be pulled off the shelves and due by Friday, instructed by our superintendent, Munoz.
Okay, maybe I'm talking out of turn, but in all honesty, these kids are so sophisticated these days. I mean, my kids have been out of high school for a long time, but I even, like 20 years ago when my daughter was in high school, they knew all kinds of stuff about all kinds of things. So this kind of stuff is like child's play as far as I'm concerned. I don't understand it. The perks of being a wallflower. I love the fact that they did talk to one senior, and he was like, what are they doing? I don't get it. These are pivotal books. And some of them, like you said, Jane, classic. These authors are very well known.
Yes. And as Andrew pointed out as well, listed in some AP courses.
Right.
So they have been reviewed time and time again. And Andrew Gus is our guest. He is with the group of Grassroots. Let me get the name right here, Andrew. Grassroots of Menomonee Falls area, talking about the 33 books that have been banned from Menomonee Falls High School. What disturbs me is that we don't know who makes the original complaint. And as you said too, Andrew, these might be people who don't even live in the district.
Right. They don't even have kids they might live in the district, but they don't have kids in the district. And it's astonishing to me because there's already policies in place for, like, let's say if I don't want my kids to read Mia Mayhem in elementary school, I can ask the librarian so that my child can't check out that book. It would not be allowed. So you can already make, like, as a parent, you can make these choices for your student. Our biggest thing is not only is the process, but also, making decisions, other parents making decisions of what my kids can read.
Well, gosh, you make a great point. So if you don't want your child to read
whatever
Fahrenheit 451, you go to the librarian and you say, my child is not allowed to take this book out. That seems pretty reasonable to me. But to completely remove it from the library is extreme.
Well, and Andrew, come on, let's be realistic about this. Half of them have Kindles. 90%, 99.9% of them have access to the internet. They're going to find these things, period.
Well, they're available. I mean, there's available resources for if books are taken out or removed. There's a ton of resources that are free for kids to read these books.
Yeah, you're going to find them.
Right. It would only take them a simple Google search to find these books.
Absolutely. 844-967-2789. 844-96-PARTY if you want to check in on this. This is really disturbing. This is from WPR. In the first half of 2022-23 school year, there were nearly 1,500 instances of books banned across the country. Of those, 30% were about race, racism, or featured a person of color. 25% had LGBTQ plus characters or themes.
Okay. So that's the word this is our world.
Well, yes.
And they're scared of this world.
Yes, they are scared of this world. So what do you hope to accomplish, Andrew, with Grassroots Menominee Falls area advocates? What do you think? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So some of our goals are to raise awareness of what's going on in the community. And then it's also for the district to follow their own policies. Yesterday they did come out with a reply and said, well, we're not following our current policy on these. We're going to follow the old policy. Well, if they're going to follow their old policy, why are they not following the reconsideration policy? So we're trying to figure out why they did not follow their own policies in place. I mean, that's the biggest question is really the due process and the taking these books away from the students is a lack of resources and could affect the AP status too.
Which is bad.
Mm-hmm. And we've got a big meeting at 6:30 p.m. It's a school board meeting at the Village Hall at 6:30 p.m. on Monday evening. So we're expecting quite a big crowd there.
I'll bet they'll be standing room only
for sure. Do you have Andrew? Do you have a website for your organization?
We don't have a website. We're working on that, and that's to come. But we're currently just operating off the Facebook page that's been linked to.
One on the phone.
Yeah.
This is kind of a pointless exercise. John from the Falls. Good morning, everyone. These are the same clowns in my community who voted to spend $1 million to move the home bleacher section to the other side of the football field because the sun was in their eyes, and then had the nerve to tell the public there wasn't enough money in the budget, so they were going to cut the music program in middle school. These are the same people who threw a fit when the kids in our schools weren't being forced to recite the Pledge of Allegiance every day, and the same people who have made it known they'll be cutting funding to the Menominee Falls Public Library. It's kind of fitting that one of the banned books is A Handmaid's Tale, since that's apparently the time these people are intent on sending us to. Honestly, John says, I'm embarrassed to admit I live here.
Well, I love Menominee Falls. I do. My brother used to live there, and I just think it's a charming community, but this is a glaring black eye for this place.
And this is not just the Menominee Falls area. And Andrew, I'm sure you're aware. I mean, this is happening all over the country.
This is a big. I mean, for us in Waukesha County, this is a big issue with WIS-RED and all of their abilities that they have to recruit and get people at the local level, and then everybody, especially with the way the voting turns out around here, is that everyone just checks our check mark without really looking at
policies
what people stand for.
Right.
For instance, our school board president, Nina Christensen, they ran as a group, really called Moms on a Mission at the time, and they ran as a trio. They all got elected, and they're part of this WIS-RED organization, and they've contributed to Moms for Liberty. So it's something that we're hearing across the country, and that we're really concerned about.
Yeah, and this is a coordinated effort. This is not springing up from the communities themselves. I don't think this is a very much coordinated effort, and I think personally, spearheaded by this Moms for Liberty group. 844.
Right. And I mean,
go ahead.
And I'm sorry, and John had alluded to it in his message where the same organization is the ones that are coming after the public library that will be on display in November during, the budget approval.
Oh, sure.
Oh, God, yeah.
Sure.
No doubt about it. But Andrew, I just don't understand why this is the course of action instead of, I've been hammering away at this whole hour, instead of sitting down and either reading it with your child or discussing it with your child. Why is this so difficult for people to digest? It doesn't make any sense to me.
It's a great question. I've been asking that myself, as we've been going through this, because it's my job to observe what my kids are doing, whether it's online, reading books, watching TV, that's my job. And I'm going to hear and I'm going to give them the resources and the tools that so that they can grow and learn and be successful adults.
And that's
moving forward.
Right. And that's just so opposite from what it's all parental rights. It's all parental rights, except in this instance, we know better than you.
I don't know.
I can't,
can't disagree. I know. Andrew Guss is our guest. He is with Grassroots, the Menominee Falls grassroots group, trying to fight these book bans. We're going to go to break. We will be right back after this. This is As Goes Wisconsin. You are listening on the Civic Media Radio Network.
With the black-eyed girl beside me all the way. Now the mountains are silent and the railroads are gone, and the coal towns no longer hear the miners at dawn. But the train whistle shrills out of memories to me, while the thunder clouds roll out of East Tennessee.
Of all current and future employees. If you're interested or are part of an organization who wants to know more, go to our website, civicmedia.us, and click on the Careers tab.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here. I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and is the best way to protect that legacy.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Here's your updated forecast on the Shaw. A mix of clouds and sun this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 57. Winds out of the northwest 10 to 15 miles an hour. Slight chance for scattered rain showers tonight. Lows dip down to about 42. Overcast skies. Chance for scattered rain showers again tomorrow. Highs level off around 54. Cloudy skies expected. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Eric Height. Currently, it's 48 degrees.
Broadcasting to Waukesha at 101.1 FM. Broadcasting to Southeast Wisconsin at 540 AM. This is The Shaw.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions have an echo in so much space. And when you're out there without care, yeah, I was out of touch. But it wasn't because I didn't
Welcome back to Ask Goes Wisconsin, 10 minutes before 11. Jane Matnair in for Kristen Bry. Greg Bach on the board. Carol Kane with me in studio in downtown Waukesha. And we have Andrew Gus on the phone. He is the co-leader of Grassroots Menomonee Falls area, where they would like transparency from the Menomonee Falls School District after the banning of 33 books. And that ban kicks in today. So no Kite Runner for you, which is really, it's a wonderful, wonderful book.
Yeah, it's a great book. I just find it fascinating because I think that there are some adults that are out there, parents that is, who they assume that if their child reads about sex and profanity, they are going to do it.
Right.
Hey, mom, dad, mom, they're already doing it. They're already doing it.
Or they're totally not.
But believing that they don't know anything about this is absurd.
Right. No. Well, what are they doing in the, first of all, mom, dad, mom, whatever it is. Do you know what kind of music your kid's listening to? This crosses over into all kinds of arenas.
Absolutely.
I'm
curious, and I don't understand why we are the book bans are concentrated so much on sexuality and race and not violence. Apparently, we're all good with that. We have no problems with our kids reading the most violent stuff available.
You make a good point on that.
But not sex. I
just don't get it. Anyhow,
Wes from Middleton checking in on the text line. Why would you want to continue to teach in Waukesha County when you can be canceled for saying the wrong thing or reading the wrong book? Milwaukee and Dane counties are right next door. Illinois just banned book bans. Why would you stay in such a hostile environment?
Well,
and we have a tough time retaining our teachers the way it is.
And it's not that easy to just be like, well, I'm picking up and leaving and I'm taking my family and my house and all the things and I'm just starting over.
But again, in this day and age, when we're losing teachers, we're having a tough time getting people into the teaching profession. This isn't going to help. Things like this, not going to help.
When I read some pretty spicy stuff when I was in high school.
And look how you turned out. Well,
yeah, you might want to. Every now and then I got to look in the mirror and go, could have done better.
Andrew, tell us again about the meeting on Monday night and how people can attend and what you're going to be doing on Monday night.
Sure, absolutely. So on Monday night is the Board of Education meeting. It's going to be at 6:30 p.m. at the Village Hall in the boardroom. And during that time, there's going to be open comments period there. And so we're encouraging residents of Menomonee Falls to come on out and support. And that's, what we're really looking for is we've got questions really, rising regarding the motivations behind the expedited book removal. We think it's in the best interest of the community to really seek clarity.
One of our texters before you joined us, Andrew, suggested that anyone who brings forth a book that they want banned should also have to submit like an 8-page book report to make sure that they've actually read it.
So that's actually the new policy. That's part of the new policy is that you can submit a book. You can submit a book. I believe it's like once a month, but you actually have to write a book report on it.
Oh, wow.
Explain why. So that's the new policy because as we explained, as I heard from the director of HR, is that books have rights. When we were in that meeting, that books have rights. That was literally the first thing that she said in the meeting when they were going over the new policies. And now we have, like I said, now we have 33 books being pulled, and the community wants to know why.
Well, and these books were pulled using the old policy, correct?
They say that they were using the old policy, but the old policy also has a lengthy process as well. It's a 3-level process, and there's no information that they followed any of that either to get these books pulled from the shelves. So what policy did they follow? Or what policy and procedure did they follow at all?
So basically, what we need in this meeting, it's a fact-finding mission. We need to find out.
There needs to be transparency.
Right. We just need to figure out why this is happening. And I just hope to God, Andrew, I really do. I hope that this cooler heads will prevail. There will be screaming and shouting, no doubt, but hopefully no fights breaking out, because you know how heated this is going to be, right?
Absolutely. We've filled and packed that room before, and we'll do it again. And it'll be and it's a way for the community to let them know that we're disagreeing with this, and we're looking for clarity, and we're really looking for. I mean, it really at the end of the day is the transparent due process. What policy did you follow? If you say that you followed the old policy, how?
Right.
Okay. Yeah,
Right. Explain how that worked.
Right.
And then, too, where is the book report? I think
that's brilliant.
I think that they should have to release a copy of the book report from the person complaining about this book to the public. That would be transparency.
It's going to be interesting, Andrew. I wish you all the luck in the world.
Well, Andrew, I hope we will stay in touch on this as things move forward, and maybe we can even get you back on next week and give us a little update on how Monday night's meeting goes.
Absolutely. That would be great. I would be more than happy to. Thank you so much for having me on today and letting us tell us our story.
It's our pleasure. Thank you. Andrew Guss with Grassroots Menomonee Falls, talking about the latest books to be banned. 33 books from Menomonee Falls High School.
Yeah.
This is happening across the country. Almost 1,500 books.
Right.
Just in the first half of this year. So
I just, sometimes you can't fix stupid. You know what I mean? To quote Forrest
sometimes
Gump.
you just marry it. No.
But I mean, they're going to find these books. They're going to read it. My Exorcist story. My mom didn't want me reading it, so I hid the damn book from her, but I still read it.
Right. Yeah. This is going to be an ongoing battle, so stay tuned. Also, stay tuned when we come back after the top of the hour news. Dr. Michael McCutcheon will be here to fix your life. If you have a question for him, you can always shoot us a text at 844-967-2789. Stay with us. This is As Goes Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network.
And I can die when I'm done. But maybe I'm crazy. Maybe you're crazy. Maybe we're crazy.
Carroll University welcomes Wheaton College to Schneider Stadium this Saturday, October 21st. The Pioneers, 4-1. Thunder, 5-1, ranked 13th in the country and 2nd in the CCIW. You can catch all of the action live with Don, Johnny, and Triple G. Pregame at 12:30, kickoff at 1 p.m. It's the Pios and the Thunder this Saturday afternoon on the Shaw WAUK 540 AM, 101.1 FM, and the Civic Media app. You are never far away from your favorite radio station. We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app. And if you missed your favorite show or game, listen to a podcast of it anytime on the app or our website, civicmedia.us.
You're listening to The Shaw, WAUK 540 AM Jackson, W266DR Waukesha, and always streaming on the Civic Media app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Steve Kathan. It's happening again on Capitol Hill, another vote for House leadership.
I rise to nominate Jim Jordan for the Speaker of the House.
Ohio Republican Jim Jordan has already lost twice. CBS's Nicole Killian.
If we had to pull out a crystal ball, it suggests that Jim Jordan still doesn't have the votes. As we've discussed the math, Republicans still have a very slim majority. So for Jim Jordan to get the gavel, he can only afford to lose about 4 votes. Short of that, he's done.
President Biden is asking Congress for $105 billion to help Ukraine and Israel. He says both fights are key to American democracy. CBS's Imtiaz Tayeb.
On the streets of Tel Aviv, Mr. Biden's speech was welcomed by Israelis.
We need support. I love the American support.
While in Ramallah, in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, anger is only growing.
President Biden is taking a one side, the ones who have the force, they have the power, they have the weapons, they have everything.
No agreement yet to allow aid to get into Gaza, where there's destruction after days of Israeli airstrikes. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says it's a frustrating situation.
We have seen so many trucks loaded with water, with fuel, with medicines, with food. What we need is to make them move.
Maryland judge Andrew Wilkinson shot and killed outside his home last night. Turns out he presided over a divorce case of a man now identified as a person of interest. CBS's Errol Barnett.
Police say they responded to reports of a shooting in the town of Hagerstown and found Wilkinson's body in the driveway, the apparent victim of multiple gunshot wounds. He was taken to a nearby hospital where he later died. After the shooting, CBS News reached out to Maryland State Police after reports of troopers being dispatched to protect other judges.
New charges against Army Private Travis King, the American who deliberately crossed over the border into North Korea. CBS's Catherine Herridge.
According to Army charging documents obtained by CBS News, Private King acted without authority and with intent to remain away permanently, leading to a charge of desertion. The U.S. Army is also charging King with soliciting a Snapchat user to produce child pornography and showing those images to minors in exchange for money.
CVS Health is pulling from its drugstore shelves some cough and cold treatments that contain an ingredient found to be ineffective by doctors and researchers for the government. Checking Wall Street right now, the Dow is down 157. This is CBS News.
You need to hire? Indeed is with you every step of the way, helping you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
With news on WAUK The Shaw, I'm Stuart J. Waddles. A funeral visitation is scheduled for next Saturday for Tom Tarasca.
The Hall of Fame coach from Arrowhead was killed this week in a car crash in Merton. The visitation on the 28th starts at 10, followed by a massive Christian burial at 2, with a private family burial. In 2009, Arrowhead High School paid tribute to his contributions by naming its football and track stadium Tarasca Stadium in his honor. His achievements include a record-breaking coaching stint with 4 championship teams and the most appearances in the WIAA Division I state football tournament. Pete Schwaba, Civic Media News.
BMO Bank is set to cut 44 positions at its downtown Milwaukee location. According to the Milwaukee Business Journal, the company cited changing business needs as the reason behind the layoffs. With news on WAUK The Shaw, I'm Stuart J. Waddles.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Don't let biased algorithms or degree screens or exclusive professional networks or stereotypes. Don't let anything keep you from discovering the half of the workforce who are stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time to tear the paper ceiling and see the stars beyond it. Find out how you can make stars part of your talent strategy at tearthepaperceiling.org. brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
RPG came through the belly of the aircraft. We don't talk about the female combat wounded. These are our daughters and our sisters and our mothers. Wounded Warrior Project came into my life and taught me how to stand back up and get back in the fight. The truth is, I think we all have this strength inside of us, but until you're tested, you just don't know it's there.
See how Wounded Warrior Project empowers women veterans like Beth by visiting woundedwarriorproject.org/empowerwomenvets.
Miss our conversations on air? Join the discussion on our social media channels. Find Civic Media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also find social media for specific shows and hosts on our website. Go to civicmedia.us.
From the Civic Media Radio Network, moving Wisconsin forward one joke at a time. This is As Goes Wisconsin with Kristen Bry.
So where it's going, no one knows. Hello, Wisconsin!
Now, filling in for the new mom, here's Jane Matinaire.
Good morning and welcome to hour 2 of As Goes Wisconsin. Greg Bach is on the board. Carol Kane with me in the studio in downtown Waukesha. And every Friday at 11:06, we are joined by our friend, Dr. Michael McCutcheon. Dr. Mike is our resident life, relationship, career coach who draws on his clinical training and counseling psychology to help us improve our relationships, set and achieve our goals, and generally fix our lives for the better. Good morning, Dr. Mike.
Hi there.
Hello, good morning. How are you all?
We're good. We're good. It's Friday. That's always good.
And people are letting you read the books you want to read in your lives. No one's restricting you, banning you, canceling you. You're all good. You're allowed to read Kite Runner and Handmaid's Tale and all those things.
Hey, dude, I'm 65 years old. Nobody's been telling me what to do for probably 55 years.
Yeah, and even if they were, even if they were, that you'd be hiding it under your bed pillow in between the mattress and box spring. It sounds like, Carol.
Absolutely.
I love that move. That's good. You don't want to know what I was playing underneath my bed, Carol. You do not want to know.
But as with your training too, Dr. Mike, and you know human nature. We talked about it all last hour. You tell a high schooler, these are the 30 books I don't want you reading. The first thing they do is go find those 30 books.
It makes the stock go way, way up. Makes
Absolutely.
And also, I mean, by the way, Kite Runner is such a gorgeous book.
It's a wonderful book.
Yeah, and as you were saying, I think it was you, Jane, as you were saying, there's a lot of books that have so many other things, going on. Deceit, betrayal, hardcore violence, and all these sorts of things too. So if I read about, cheating, lying, stealing, killing, and all those sorts of things that are in so many other books, right? Does that mean that I'm going to go and do all of those things to my friends and family and neighbors? No, but these are things that take place in the world, right? These are themes that take place in the world, right? And yes, sex is something that happens in the world. Now there's a difference between having a book like Greg's favorite book of all time, 50 Shades, versus versus something that happens to be a 300-400 page book where there's a sex scene. Gasp.
Right.
It's okay, right? And I think there's a difference between a 17-year-old reading that, versus a 4-year-old reading that. Let's use some common sense here.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And
common sense I know is hard to come by these days.
Yeah, it sure is. And go read The Kite Runner. It's a wonderful, wonderful book. All right, we're gonna fix someone's life right now, Dr. Mike. Here is today's problem. Dear Dr. Mike, I'm a 30-year-old woman and I've never been particularly close to my mom. She's always been much harder on me than my 2 sisters, which she would admit. In my adult years, she has not only said horrible things to me about my life and career choices, she's also been openly mean to my father, who's given her an incredibly comfortable life for decades. When we recently discovered she'd been cheating on him with various flings for several years, for me, that was the last straw. I am appalled. I don't want to see her anymore. I don't want her around for the upcoming holidays. but everyone else is acting like I'm being too hard on her. My sisters say we shouldn't excommunicate her, and even my dad says, well, she is your mother, so you have to respect her. But, Dr. Mike, I don't respect her. What am I supposed to do? Pretend that my mean, cheating mom is welcome in my home for Thanksgiving when she's really not welcome? My husband and I are hoping to have a baby next year. Am I required to let someone near my child, even if I don't love, respect, or trust them? How can I explain my feelings to my family because they just don't seem to get it? That's a doozy.
I was just going to say that's a doozy.
It is.
Well, I'm glad that we're all here. So I'm actually retiring today, and it's my last day, and so I'm actually not going to answer this question. Good night. It was good to know you all, and I'm not going to. Okay.
Dr. Mike.
Yeah, I'm not going to answer it. No, that is a doozy. Well, yeah. Maybe we should answer this as a panel because I feel like we'll all have a take on this. So I will certainly jump in first and give my take, and I'll give a short answer and a long answer.
Okay.
The short answer is, oh wow, yeah. Also, let's get some calls and text 844-967-2789. Did I get that right, Jane? Did I do
That's
it?
called
Did I do it okay?
that's called ramping, Dr. Mike. That's called called tap dancing as you decide.
I felt like that was delegating. Really, that was delegating authority.
Exactly. Yeah. That's good leadership, isn't it, Greg?
Yes, indeed.
Yes. So the short answer is no. You do not have to have your mother around for Thanksgiving, and you do not need to subject your child or your spouse to somebody who you feel has been mean to you for a long period of time, somebody who's disrespected your father, and somebody who you don't trust or love or respect. The person happens to be your mother. You're a 30-year-old adult, and if you don't feel that person is trustworthy and going to respect you in your home, why would you have them over for Thanksgiving or around your baby? And I think that's the one thing that I noticed was missing from this. That was kind of a long note that they sent to us. One thing I noticed was missing was, and my mom apologized and said that she was so sorry. And
Right.
She wanted to have a different relationship with me going forward, and to everybody else. You would think that would be slid in there somewhere with all the detail we got. I didn't hear ever that there was anything that this person felt remorse or this person wanted to be around for Thanksgiving. I heard that the siblings or the dad said you need to respect this person. I didn't hear anything from the mom saying I've turned another leaf, give me another chance, and I'm so sorry. So I think if there was some kind of inkling that the mom has somehow learned their lesson and is in all kinds of therapy and treatment and sex rehab and all this sort of stuff, if you wanted to do that, perhaps. But I'm actually sort of with you. How do you talk to your family about it? I think you would just lay out all your cards. I've had a different relationship with mom since the beginning. Your context with mom and my relationship with mom is very different from yours.
Absolutely.
If you choose to have somebody in your life, who's done this to dad, all power to you. But my relationship and your relationship with this person is very different. And you can do what you want to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. That's my long answer.
I'm curious to know if one of the reasons why there's been a different relationship between the person who's writing in and the other siblings is maybe this person pushes back, because what I'm hearing is a father and siblings who are saying, it's mom, you got to do what you want to do, and they don't want to push back. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to have to. 'Cause my guess is she's not nice to anyone in that family, but she's just the least nice to this person. So everyone's like, just deal with it.
That's just mom.
Just deal with it.
That's just how she is, right?
And in my opinion, I agree with you, Dr. Mike. She has no reason to let this person into her life. You don't let that kind of constant trauma into your life. You got to cut it off, and it sucks. And if that means your siblings and your father aren't going to be there for you either, you got to find those people who love you and wrap yourself around that love.
That's right, Greg. Well, how do you feel about this phrase? We train people how to treat us. Isn't that right? The more and more we let people walk all over us, the more and more they will. The more and more we put up boundaries and say, I only have enough room in my life for this amount of BS, and after that level, no more, then they learn their lesson, right? We train people, we teach people how to treat us. It sounds like siblings and dad are training mom how to treat them. So why would you change around them? Why? But this, the writer here, this daughter has said, probably like as you're right, Greg, I think you're reading between the lines, that mom has said, oh, this one's a thorn in my side. This one's not going to let me get away with stuff, right? And this one, as she said, this is the final straw. No, right? You're the one who actually has a backbone around here.
Dr. Michael McCutcheon is our guest every Friday from 11:06 to 11:19, taking your relationship questions, career questions, all those things. I agree with you, Dr. Mike, and I still think respect is earned.
Yep.
Respect is something that's earned. And why there is this expectation that because this person is a relative, that you have to allow their toxicity in, and they are instantaneously due this deference without earning it.
I love his whole thing about setting the boundaries and pushing back, because I think that is so true, that once you finally stand up for yourself and say, that is enough, you'll start to get a little bit of cooperation on the other side. I think that's a really great piece of advice, Doc.
And I also agree with Carol too. I'm going to go with Jane as well, as far as you're just not owed respect. That's not how this works.
Right. You notice a lot of times people say, oh, I would do anything for my family, and family comes first and whatnot, and blood's thicker than water, all these sorts of phrases. Well, that's not just because people just give them that, oh, I'm just going to play the family card, they just automatically get it. Usually it's because people have over time earned that, Jane, right? Because their family over time they've done so many things to earn that then if family does mess up, they go, well, they've done 6,000 things, that one little screw up, I'm going to give them that.
Sure.
Right? It sounds like this person has done 6,000 things the other direction, right? And so you don't just get that because you have this title, right? Like as you were saying, respect is earned, and this person has earned a lot of suspicion. This person has earned a reputation from our writer, from our caller here, almost fear. Say, I don't want you around my future child. I don't want you ruining Thanksgiving, right? Yeah.
Right.
So I think I think it's a tough decision. It's a doozy, as you said, but boundaries are really, really important. So stand firm.
All right, Dr. Michael McCutcheon, our life, relationship, career coach. Always such a pleasure to talk to you. You can always send in your questions for Dr. Mike at 844-967-2789, or shoot us an email at asgoeswisconsin@civicmedia.us. Dr. Mike, we will see you next Friday. Thank you so much.
See you.
Bye, buddy. Have a great weekend.
Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break. This is As Goes Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Doctor, can't you see I'm burning? Oh, doctor, is love on me?
Todd Alba Show.
What makes our society great is that we can believe in something bigger than ourselves. It doesn't matter whether it's a soccer team or whether it's a political movement or whether it's a public school, whether it's a neighborhood PTA, a bake sale. It's about interacting with our friends and neighbors and making our communities better for having come together around a common cause.
The Todd Alba Show. Weekday afternoons from 1 till 3 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the radio. Keeps your community informed, entertained, and connected. It's what we're all about at the Civic Media network of local radio stations.
We're having fun and moving fast to preserve hometown radio across Wisconsin. This includes a commitment to news. Now we want to invite you to join Civic Media's exclusive Facebook group, Wisconsin Breaking News. It's a place to share your community's news and chat with others from across the state about it.
Join the Facebook group Wisconsin Breaking News today. It's the perfect companion to your local Civic Media radio station. Saturdays Saturdays and Sundays at 1. Don't miss Under the Helmet with the Gravedigger, featuring legendary Gilbert Brown and Earl Ingram. Football, life, and fun.
Earl, you've been driving a Yugo. They just gave you a brand new Ferrari with turbo boost. So enjoy it, brother.
Under the Helmet with the Gravedigger. Gilbert Brown and Earl Ingram. Saturdays and Sundays at 1 on the Civic Media Network and on the Civic Media app.
Here's your updated forecast on the Shaw. A mix of clouds and sun this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 57. Winds out of the northwest 10 to 15 miles an hour. Slight chance for scattered rain showers tonight. Lows dip down to about 42. Overcast skies. Chance for scattered rain showers again tomorrow. Highs level off around 54. Cloudy skies expected. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Eric Height. Currently, it's 48 degrees.
Your home for the Devil's Advocates. Weekday afternoons from 4 until 6 on The Shaw, 540 AM and 101.1.
All my bags are packed, I'm ready to go. I'm standing here outside your door. I hate to wake you up to say goodbye, but the dawn is breaking, it's early morn, the taxi's waiting.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. 11:21. Jane Matnair in for Kristen Bry. Greg Bach on the board. Carol Kane with me in the studio in downtown Waukesha, and you as well. 844-967-2789. If you ever want to call or text 844-96-PARTY. If you're watching on the stream on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, you can always leave comments directly there as well. Greg Bach, I'm feeling all flower childy now.
Well, I played that song. Is it really a dedication? I know we don't like do a lot of music as far as like, you know, dedicated to, but that song was dedicated to someone.
Are you going to tell us who?
Yeah, it's dedicated to Representative Derek Van Orton, who is currently flying to another country right now.
He's in another country.
Oh, he's in another country.
Yeah,
Well,
he's already there.
He's already there.
That song was for him. Derek Van Orton, you were leaving on a jet plane. Just shirking your responsibility again.
Oh, no. Oh, and he rhymed it and everything.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we're going to do an update on the Whoop 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 Boing Caucus, which is what I'm now calling the Republican House members, as they still don't have a speaker. Jim Jordan lost a third vote today.
Well, I think we knew that was going to happen.
And he lost more votes. Now, today it was 194. So Derek Van Orton is gone. 2 other Republicans are already gone. And it just keeps getting worse for him.
I don't know why he pulled back. He said he was going to step aside and give it a rest. And, you know, and so what changed his, I don't get it. The whole thing is a clown car, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. And I get so disgusted with the whole idea that, what are you, 5?
Seriously. There were reports yesterday that in one of the closed door meetings among the House Republicans,
they were screaming at one
another. Former Speaker McCarthy was talking, and Matt Gaetz tried to interrupt him, and they were screaming at each other. Women are too emotional, Carol. Let's not forget. Women are too emotional to lead. But the boys got it all covered.
I stand by my statement. I need somebody, and probably a woman, a mom, to go in, and I said this about the debates. I want sit the hell down, shut up, and get some work done. I don't know why this is so difficult for you to understand. Do you not understand that the absolute entire world is looking at you and thinking you're a bunch of morons? Seriously, I don't care what side of the fence you're sitting on. If the Democrats were doing this, I'd call them out too.
So would I. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is unbelievable, unacceptable behavior by people we have elected to go to Washington
and do things.
Right.
Actually accomplish things for their constituents, not spend all their time infighting. The other petty thing that came up this morning is now McCarthy won't leave his office. He's refused to leave the Speaker's office because it's really close to the chamber, and his regular office is farther away. So he's like, well, I'm not leaving this until they elect somebody.
Well, then fine. Fine. I hope you got a comfortable couch.
Representative Dan Crenshaw from Texas told Jake Tapper on CNN that the pressure tactics being used by Jordan's allies have gone way over the line. There are Republican members and their spouses who are getting anonymous threatening messages.
Death threats.
Death threats.
threats. Yeah. There are death threats that are being made, and that's unacceptable.
These attacks have become extremely vicious, says Crenshaw. They're different. I've been subject to a lot of attacks from the far right, but these are different, and they have entrenched the opposition. Crenshaw then said the GOP needs to do a full reset to figure out who it wants to select as speaker, and forcing members to stay over the weekend will backfire on him.
Well, after a while, you know what it is? It reminds me of a gerbil on the wheel. You know, you're running and you're running and you're running and you're running and you're not going anywhere.
But this is just so indicative of the fact that they had no plan. Matt Gaetz did this out of personal pique because he doesn't like Kevin McCarthy.
Right.
And did not have a plan for who was going to step into the into the
not at
speakership.
all.
He really didn't, because they don't care about governing.
They don't have anybody in the wings. And
texter from the 541, Carol says, Carol, they have Marjorie Taylor Greene, though. She's a mom.
Yeah, but she's nuts.
You know, one of the things too, the other side of, you know, where Republicans are really, really pooping the bed, if you will, is all these interviews they're doing where all they're not one of them is saying, yeah, Matt Gaetz completely destroyed this.
Blew this.
What they're doing is they're pushing it all on the Democrats.
I know, which is hilarious.
There was an interview on CNN with Representative Austin, and he just could not stop saying it was the majority of the votes was Democrats. Well, yes, because the majority of the votes were going to be Democrat because you gave them this ability. And
you're the ones who removed the speaker.
Yeah, this was yours. You started doing this, not the Democrats. Democrats didn't try to remove him. You guys did.
And why they would expect the Democrats to come forward and support Kevin McCarthy, who has made deals and then broken those deals.
Well, okay. But I have to say this, that I don't care how it happens. And if it's reaching across the aisle and getting some help from the Democrats, which I know is not a popular decision, getting some help from the Democrats, if it helps moves this along and we can start getting some stuff. We have some very important issues that are happening right now.
Yes, we do.
And we need to address them yesterday. So I don't know if we can get a little help from the other side and we can get somebody in there and get something done. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Absolutely. Hakeem Jeffries for Speaker of the House.
There you go. That would solve everything. All right. We got the bottom of the hour news coming up next. When we come back, we're going to lighten things up.
Are we ever?
With a little pet talk. So we want to know the most extreme things you have done out of the love for your pets.
Oh, boy.
844-967-2789. Stay with us. This is As Goes Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network.
'Cause I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again. Oh, babe, I hate to go. I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again.
Entertained. This is The Shaw, 540 AM and 101.1 FM, WAUK.
CBS News special report. A third vote for Speaker going on now in the House of Representatives.
Bean of Florida. Jordan. Beatty. Jeffries.
Jim Jordan, the Ohio Republicans, already lost 2 times, and from the running tally now, it appears he's come up short again. It was former Speaker Kevin McCarthy who stood up for Jordan to start the proceedings.
Jim Jordan is an effective legislator.
But will he ever get to be House Speaker? CBS's Nicole Killian on Capitol Hill.
Here you had Kevin McCarthy, the man who was ousted from the seat that Republicans now want to fill again with Jim Jordan. And I think this really is a move and a play to try to bring the conference together.
It all means key work's going to have to wait, including action on President Biden's call for billions in aid to Israel and Ukraine. CBS News special report. I'm Steve Kathan.
With news on WAUK The Shaw, I'm Stuart J. Waddles. The 2-year anniversary of the Waukesha Christmas Parade attack is about a month away, and city leaders are busy planning the memorial. On Tuesday, November 21st at 4:39 p.m., the city will dedicate the Main Street Parade Memorial. The ceremony will take place at the 5 Points intersection in downtown Waukesha. A homemade haunted house attraction in West Allis faces its final year due to a zoning ordinance issue. The Novak family has been transforming their home into Novak Manor for Halloween since 2012. They draw thousands of visitors every year. However, a permit issue will force them to close after this year. Despite efforts to resolve the situation with the city, the family says this year's Halloween event will be a grand farewell. With news on WAUK The Shaw, I'm Stuart J. Waddles.
Discover the secret to a healthier you at Lake County Botanics. Vape Walkie specializes in top quality hemp products from CBD to Delta 8, all curated just for you. You'll find Delta 8, Delta 10, THCA, and more legal hemp compounds in disposable vapes, cartridges, edibles, and more. Isolates, broad spectrum, or full spectrum CBD, they've got it all. They even have products for your furry friend. Open Monday to Saturday, 11 to 7, and Sundays from 11 to 5. Mention this ad to get a free gummy at 215 Oakton Avenue, Suite C in Pewaukee, LakeCountyBotanics.com.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Join the conversation with your favorite hosts or shows anytime. Follow Civic Media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Share your thoughts on our social media channels wherever you are, whenever you want. The Civic Media network of local radio stations here for you.
Welcome back to As Goes, Wisconsin. Jane Metnair in for Kristen Bry, Greg Bach on the board, Carol Kane with me in studio in downtown Waukesha, and you at 844-967-2789. You can call and or text. Carol, I wanted to share this with you.
Okay.
From the 262. It's kind of cool to hear Carol on Civic Media. She is a Wisconsin staple.
Oh, well, that's very nice. That's very kind. Thank you.
That's lovely.
Yes.
And Greg, for our last segment today, we're going to have our theme song, right? The We're Not Dead Yet.
Yeah, we could definitely have that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love that. That was a listener suggestion.
Yeah, we're not dead
We're
yet.
not dead yet. That's why we're radio legends, because we're still alive.
Right. We just keep plugging away. Keep plugging away.
Keep plugging away. Speaking of plugging away, we've been meaning to do this for the last couple of weeks, and there just hasn't been time because there's been so many other things going on. But we want to talk about the lengths we will go to for our four-legged friends.
Right, right. Well,
the things we do for the love of our pets.
Right. And this has been precipitated by the fact that I told Jane a story that is happening at my house.
Right.
And so setting the base, I have two dogs. I have Beauregard, who is a English Coonhound mix out of a shelter in Alabama.
Right.
And I also have Sydney, and she is a half Australian Shepherd, half Golden Retriever.
They're both big dogs.
80 pounds,
Yep.
each 80 pounds apiece. And so they're both seniors. Both of them are getting close to being 13 years old. And
For a big dog, that's getting up there.
that's, I know. And I know what's coming down the pike.
I know.
And I hate to think about it. But until that happens, they're my kids. I
Right.
call them my kids.
Sure.
And so Sydney, this was about 8 weeks ago. Sydney was trying to get upstairs to the bedroom. We were, calling it a night.
Right.
And her back legs have been weak and they gave out on her. And it was like the State Fair slide. She just went all the
Oh.
way down. So Carol's solution, and it's been happening ever since, I fixed up the couch as a bed. And I've been sleeping on the couch for weeks now because then Sydney can come and lay next to the couch and be with me.
Right.
And I can reach down and I can pet her. And because I know her and I know that if I go upstairs and Beauregard goes upstairs, she's going to be beside herself and she will lay at the base of the stairs and probably cry.
Or she's going to keep trying to get up the stairs and she's really going to hurt herself.
And she's going to hurt herself.
Right.
Yes. So I can't really, I tried to get her up again, but she's 80 pounds and she's,
Sure.
but so that's what I'm doing.
So you've been sleeping on the couch for 2 months.
Yeah. And, Lou kind of looks at me and he's just like, when is this ever going to, I'm like, no,
Nope.
she's my girl and I'm going to stay with her until whatever we have to do, we have to do. Now, that could be a while because of the fact that the vet says she's healthy as a horse. He says this just happens with
Arthritis, probably.
right.
Yep.
He says this happens with older dogs and they lose control of their legs sometime. And this is what's happening with her. So, so that's what I'm doing. And
I don't find that extreme at all. I think there are a lot of people listening with pets who are thinking, yep, I'd do that.
well, I did talk to my financial advisor called me yesterday as I was driving home and DJ said the same thing. He goes, my wife Heather would do that. And it's, I'm not, no harm, no foul. Who cares?
Right.
It's if for Thanksgiving, if I end up, hosting Thanksgiving, I'll pack everything up and take it upstairs so that people can actually sit on the couch. But without my
That's
pillow.
really nice of you.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah, that's very accommodating.
I am the best hostess. But I stopped walking them a little while ago because they're just old.
Sure.
And so, you've had dogs and you know what this is like. So I just found it fascinating, what people will go through. Like there's a woman in my neighborhood and she's got the doggy baby carriage.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And she's got a little guy and
She
he's-
just strollers him around.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Why not?
844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. What is the most extreme thing you have done out of love for your pet? And it doesn't even have to be that extreme because I don't think what you're doing is extreme.
No, well, it's talk to Lou.
For some people, I know, but I'm with you. I would probably do the exact same thing. Now, Greg Bach, looking at your face,
Hi.
I have a feeling you would not do the same thing.
I don't know because I didn't grow up really with pets.
Okay.
And I was telling Jane this before the show started is I feel like my brain doesn't have the wiring for that sort of empathy for pets. Like if I have a dog, I'm going to love that dog. But there are certain things when my friends tell me what they're doing for their pets, I'm like, I don't understand. It's not that I think they're wrong. It's that I don't understand why they're doing it. It doesn't compute with me. And I try to be as non-judgmental or like, what? Because I don't want them to feel bad and I don't want to sound like a psychopath. But like for me with a pet's a pet. And when the pet's, you move on, you do your thing. I don't know. I know I sound like a monster. Send your calls to my mom's cell phone. It's fine.
Well, and in addition, when I stopped walking them, because Beauregard tore his ACL, and so he couldn't walk, and then Sydney's legs are giving out. And so what did I do? I'd load him up in the car.
And go for a drive?
Yeah. Roll the windows down and take them out in the country for about an hour. And both of them are hanging their heads out, one on one window, one on the other window. people must think I'm crazy, but we just drive around and we look at the farm,
Smell some smells.
And, you know, I talk to them. Actually, I talk to them like they're people. But you know,
You're not alone.
No, I don't think so. I think there's an awful lot of people.
You are not alone. 844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. What have you done out of the love of your pet? Don from Madison is on the line. Good morning, Don.
Hi, Don.
Good morning, Jane. Hey, so the caller before the last caller, I don't understand people who don't have the love that other pet owners that such as like myself have for their pets, because they're our babies, you know. We don't have kids, my partner and I. So yeah, we have dog insurance. We try to give them the best food, try to take them for walks, let them ride in the car, you know, all the things that you would do with your child if you had a child.
What are their names, Don?
Sleep in the bed once in a while. What's that?
What are their names?
Oh, we just got a new lab, which her name is Java, and she's a chocolate lab, and she's a rescue. So yeah, we try to do what we can. And I was also going to mention that our last dog, which was a lab, she had hemangiosarcoma. She had a bleeding tumor, and she had issues with falling down, like your guest's dog. So you may want to get her checked to make sure that she doesn't have any kind of tumor growing.
Well, to tell you the truth, she just had her annual exam at the veterinary clinic. He said she's okay.
She's real healthy.
Right.
You might try using one of those harnesses that you can hold up by the handle to help her up the stairs.
Well, that's a good idea. She takes Rimadyl and glucosamine, chondroitin.
Glucosamine. Yep.
But that's not a bad. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
The only thing
get one of those little.
The only thing that concerns me about that idea, Don, though, is that Sydney is 80 pounds. I can see both of you falling down the steps.
I don't need any help falling down.
You don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that.
No.
No, and truly, I'm so klutzy. I'm so klutzy. I fall all the time, and I don't need any.
You could get one of those. You could get a pet elevator. I mean, Mitt Romney had a car elevator. So.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Excellent suggestion, Don. I'm sure we'll get right on that house elevator for the dogs.
I will tell you this,
Thank you.
To give you an idea as to how bad I am. My husband, when we first started dating eons ago, he finally looked at me on one of the dates and he said, you know, cracks in the sidewalk have taken on a whole new meaning for me when I walk with you. Because I'll hit it and down I go. That's it.
And I'd like to also point out that Don just said exactly what I was afraid. I sound like a monster when I talk about this. I don't want to sound like this. I don't want to feel like this either.
But I promise you, Greg, when you and Bridget do finally decide to get a dog, it's going to change you.
Okay.
You are gonna do things for this animal that you would never have believed that you will do.
Sure.
Trust me.
I don't disagree with you, but it's hard for me to. Yeah. I'm not a bad person, everybody. I swear to God, I'm not.
He's really not a bad person.
Well, but I know people that just aren't pet people.
Yeah, for sure.
But I want a dog.
It's going to change you. 844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. You can call or text on what have you done for the love of your pet, out of love for your pet. Angie from Wisconsin is on the line. Good morning, Angie.
Hi. Yeah. My dog lived to like 15, and I used to give her IV fluids, and I had to learn how to do all that kind of stuff.
You had to do what, Angie?
IV fluids.
Oh, wow.
Oh, holy smokes.
Yeah. But it made her, she lived a lot. She lived for an extra 3 months that way. And I'm very, very poor. I just worked a lot of extra hours and paid for it that way. So, yeah, all my extra money for those 3 months went all to her. She lived an extra 3 months. I loved her. She lived to 15.
That's wonderful. What was her name, Angie?
Yeah, I did everything for her. Lexi.
Lexi.
Got it.
Well, she's on the Rainbow Bridge now with my Barkley and my Pierce, and you gave her a great life, Angie.
You should
Oh,
be.
yes, she did. And I have no regrets.
Yeah,
So,
no.
None with her.
Good.
Loved her. Have a great day.
You
Thanks,
too.
you too.
Thank you so much for calling. You can check in as well, 844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. A woman that I used to work with, her husband would take the dog for a walk every day, but he would go to a different park.
Oh, so change the scenery?
Because she wants different smells.
Oh, okay.
It's boring for her
That's hilarious.
to go to the same park, which I would never have thought of ever.
In all honesty, I didn't know that they could tell the difference.
No, it's like it's outside. There's lots of smells.
Exactly.
You know, and like you taking your two for car rides now that they're older and they can't walk as far.
Well, and we've got plenty of smells in the backyard too, because I live near a nature preserve.
Oh, that's right.
So we've got deer and fox and raccoons and
Oh.
possums, and we've got them all. Turkey. I had 2 turkeys walking through the other day.
Oh, that must have
And I
driven
was-
them crazy.
To tell you the truth, I kind of looked at him and said, "You're taking your life into your own hands. It's a little close to Turkey Day."
They might be. Oh, yeah, right. Texter from the 414. My dog has diabetes. I'm so sorry. And is going downhill. He's a senior rescue. It's been very difficult. He's 14 and a half.
Wow.
And has exceeded his life expectancy. This is the difficult part of being a pet parent. I've been carrying him around as his legs are going. His name is Teddy. Stacy from Waukesha. Oh, Stacy, I feel you.
I do too.
It's so hard when they get older and they start having health problems. It is.
Well, and when you've got diabetes, you've probably given them insulin. I know a lot of people that have to give their animals insulin. So
844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. What's the most extreme thing you have done? And maybe it's not extreme to you, out of the love of your pet.
Well, the thing is that, and I stand by this, when you bring them into your family, and Greg, you should listen to this, when they bring them into their family, that's exactly what they become. They become family.
Yes.
And why wouldn't you protect your family and do the most you can possibly do for your family?
I have a great many thoughts on that topic, but we're going to a break, so.
Oh, so he doesn't have to. You're off the hook for now. All right, we're going to a break. One more break. When we come back, I hope you will stay with us. This is As Goes Wisconsin. You're listening to us on the Civic Media Radio Network.
As Carroll University welcomes Wheaton College to Schneider Stadium this Saturday, October 21st. The Pioneers 4-1, Thunder 5-1, ranked 13th in the country and 2nd in the CCIW. You can catch all of the action live with Don, Johnny, and Triple G. Pregame at 12:30, kickoff at 1 p.m. It's the Pios and the Thunder this Saturday afternoon on the Shaw WAUK 540 AM, 101.1 FM, and the Civic Media app.
Timeout. All right. Remember, we're a team that plays together. Listen, the winning will take care of itself. We just have to get everyone involved.
In interscholastic sports, we celebrate what makes every one of us unique. And in the pursuit of a common goal, everyone in the huddle, in the bleachers, and in the community comes together. This message presented by the WIAA and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
Why are interscholastic sports called the last classroom of the day? Because they teach students important life lessons like teamwork, accountability, and perseverance. School sports are so much more than a game. They're about developing the whole person. That's why they're an essential part of every student's education.
Encourage your student to participate in the last classroom of the day. Interscholastic sports in Wisconsin. This message presented by the WIAA and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
Here's your updated forecast on the Shaw. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon, with daytime highs approaching 57. Northwesterly winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Slight chance for scattered showers tonight. Lows level off around 42. Overcast skies. Chance for scattered rain showers again tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 54. Cloudy skies. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 48 degrees.
Your home of the Earl Ingram Show. Weekday mornings from 8 till 10 on The Shaw. 540 AM and 101.1 FM.
Give me a chance, cause I'm not dead yet. Not dead yet. Not dead yet. I'm a mad dog fighting with the wall against my back. You better get a bigger gun, I'm not dead yet. I've been machine gun, handgun, hijack, left for dead. Die bomb, napalm, nuclear warheaded. Drop from a jet plane.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. Jane Matnair in for Kristen Bry. Greg Bach is on the board. Harold Kane in the studio with me in downtown Waukesha. And thank you so much for joining us today. You can always check in, call, and or text at 844-967-2789. As Greg and I pointed out yesterday, too, if you're watching the stream, you can always leave comments on the live stream, either on Twitter or YouTube or Facebook. And there is a plus, Greg Bach, to watching the stream.
Why?
Because we chair dance.
We so chair dance.
We so chair dance.
We chair fans. We chair dance. We finger pistol. We air high five. And also another thing we don't discuss enough too is if you don't have time to watch the live stream, that's fine.
Oh yeah, you have
every
a live.
show is broken into 2 podcasts a day, and they go up pretty much within an hour after the show is done, which is noon. So if you want to listen to us back or you want to hear an interview again, go to your favorite podcast provider of choice and download the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, leave comments for the podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
And you can listen there. Listen on your car ride home.
And download the Civic Media app.
Oh, heck yeah.
Too, and the other thing that I really like that Kristen had started when she started the show was in our show notes at civicmedia.us. In the compilation of each day's show, there are links to articles that we talk about, articles that we reference, other things like that. So there's lots of links there and there's lots of information.
Well,
there
that's, you know what, it's extremely helpful because people sometimes can only listen for a short period of time and they want to hear the rest of the story.
Right.
And I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. So it's a great way. She started a great way to engage with the listener.
And to give you stuff you can use,
Right.
Information you can use. We were talking about the things we've done out of the love of our pets. And texter from the 541 says, Carol, regarding your comment about bringing a pet into your family, go back to today's segment with Dr. Mike. There are plenty of actual family who aren't really worth the time of day, but your 4-legged ones are.
Right.
Yeah, and actually, I'm glad you brought that up because Mark from the SAC called and we didn't have time to take his call, but he gave me his thoughts. And one of the things he said was, you can learn to forgive these individuals and move on from them through your life. Like, I forgive you, but I'm no longer going to be a part of your life, which I personally don't fully agree with because I'll forgive somebody if they're seeking forgiveness, but I'm not going to walk up to someone in my life who's toxic me like, I forgive you, because they're going to be like, for what?
Well, is he necessarily saying, though, that you have to tell the person that you forgive them? I think it's more about an internal decision to no longer hold on to
That's hard to do.
That toxic stuff. It is hard to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is hard to
Especially
do.
when it's your mother. That's very, very difficult to do.
Absolutely.
And maybe you aren't saying it out loud or to their face, and you're just doing it inside. But yeah, I mean, there's many different ways you can go about cutting a person out of your life who is family, but also causing a lot of problems for you. And one of those is just to say, I'm done. And that's your right. And then, hopefully your spouse, your partner, whomever is loving and accepting of you and has maybe a family that, be a part of, and you can move on.
But I thought one really great thing from that Dr. Mike segment was we teach people how to treat us by what we put up with.
Yeah.
Right.
And what they can get away with.
That's why a dog is so great, Greg, because they're always happy to see you.
They really are.
They're always happy to see you. I'm telling you right now, when I walk in the door, when I get back to my home, Beauregard will say to me, in not so many words, because he doesn't actually speak, but he will say, I can't believe you've made it home.
Where have you been? Where have you been? It's been days and days and days.
I already regret saying anything.
You can send any comments to Greg Bach the Monster. You are not a monster. And I bet there are many people who are listening who agree with you, who are not pet people.
My mom
and
wasn't.
there's nothing wrong with it, and not that you're not a pet person because you guys want to get a dog. But there are people, it's just not their thing.
My mom wasn't. She wasn't. And the only reason, and I'm going to tell this really quick story, the only reason I got our first dog, Taliesin, who was a Chihuahua, was I was so desperate to have a pet that I found a caterpillar. This is the honest hand to God. I found a caterpillar. I put some grass and a twig in a jar, put the caterpillar in there, pounded holes in the top, and I walked the caterpillar around the block talking to it. And my dad got a phone call from our neighbor.
Oh,
and
Carol.
who said, Irv, you got to do something with her. The neighbors are, I swear to God, that's exactly what I did. He said, you have got to do something with her. The neighbors are really worried.
What is wrong with your child? She's walking a caterpillar
in a mason jar around the block.
That Carol girl's walking around with an empty jar in there. No, that jar's got a caterpillar
and
that's her only friend.
Yeah, and she's talking to it.
Yeah, beat that. Beat that.
So after your dad got the call about the caterpillar is when they broke down or got you a dog?
Yes, we found that was wet back in the day when they used to advertise in the back of the newspaper, pets and stuff.
Right.
And we found in South Beloit, because I'm from Beloit originally, we found in South Beloit this litter of Chihuahuas that were up for sale. And so we went down to South Beloit, and Tally was the only one left, and it was $25, AKC registered.
Wow.
And my dad finally just broke down and looked at my mom and said, we're getting her. End of story.
Whether you like it or not.
Here's a question.
We're getting the dog.
We're almost out of time. I want to ask you a really quick question, Carol, with one of your dogs. If you, I don't want to say it's going to happen right now, but let's say this weekend you had to put one of your dogs down. Are you waiting? Are you getting a new dog, or are you going to get one that weekend?
No. I wait.
You wait. Okay.
I have to grieve.
Gotcha.
I do.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I know some people who grieve. I know some people who buy a new dog the same weekend.
I do too, Greg. I've known people who have done that too. They feel the hole and they want that hole filled.
And that's okay. That's okay if that's how you operate. But I need time to remember and grieve.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, I am always going to remember the story of Carol and her caterpillar. No, I want to get to
Carol and her caterpillar walking down the street.
That's a book. There's a children's book right there, you guys.
Saddest children book ever. That one, you know what? Everyone going to say this. That book can be banned.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, stop.
All right. That does it for us. Thank you so very much to Dr. Michael McCutcheon and to Andrew Guss, who joined us in the first hour. Thank you, Greg Bach. Thank you, my dear friend Carol Kane. Thank you to all of you for calling and texting and listening. Stay tuned for news is next, followed by Town Call. Have a wonderful weekend. We will be back with you on Monday right here on the Civic Media Radio Network.